Welcome to Bennett's BikeSocial. Welcome to southern Spain. We're not too far from Valencia. This is a proven supermoto go-kart track just outside Valencia, and the very fact that we're with Ducati is a bit of a surprise, because Ducati is synonymous for building superbikes. They're brilliant at building adventure bikes. They're moving into motocross, and now they're moving into supermoto. And what's really interesting about the new supermoto is it wasn't done by some amazing market research or analysis. They didn't go out asking customers what they wanted like you would normally do with a production bike. They basically sat around about 4 years ago and said, you know, if we got like a V-twin Panigale and we chopped it in half, we could have a really good single. And then a few engineers got together and went, well, let's do that. So this has got essentially half a Panigale. It's got the same bore, same stroke, the same piston, the same titanium inlet valves, if I'm not mistaken, which turns out to be the most powerful supermoto you can buy. So peak power is 77.5 horsepower. There's 46.5 foot-pounds of torque. Peak power is at 9750, but it will actually rev past 10. That's a single cylinder bike revving past 10, which if you think about that, that's quite phenomenal, especially for somebody of my generation who remembers singles to be these big thumping plodder things that if you got to about 6,000 RPM, you were happy with. So welcome to the launch of Ducati's new supermoto single cylinder. This is their first, cheers Beth, single cylinder production bike, I think ever. I mean, there was a supermoto race bike, but I don't think they did a road version. So it's the most powerful, in terms of peak power, supermoto that you can buy. Nice turn. Oh, this is fun. So just on a standard rubber, works well. It's just having this safety net of cornering ABS, cornering traction. Not in the actual wet mode because we've got a few dry patches. Just in the standard road mode. And personally, I'm a bit of it knee out rather than foot out, because of the revs, look, you can just hold that rev. That slide thing is pretty awesome, but it's not lumpy off the bottom. Off the bottom it's really good. You just get like a little slide on the initial pickup of the throttle. I've got the traction set fairly high. Go for a short shift into third. Oh, second. Oh, Pepe, you put the flag out. No fun, but it is getting fun to ride because it is starting to dry. The fueling is really good off the bottom. I mean, only in the road mode, not in full race version. But it's really good off the bottom. If you did like a blindfold test, you'd think this was maybe even a little parallel twin, because it doesn't feel lumpy at all like some singles do. The throttle is lovely. The slide control thing allows the back to come round. If I go to here, back to first, loads the back brake, just comes around, lovely. You got to brake heavy in first. So you've got to brake heavy and use the back brake, but you don't need to use the clutch. So normally when you back a bike in, it's like a balance of back brake and clutch. Into the pits. It's laden in rider ears, as you'd expect to come from Ducati. So you've got multiple rider modes, multiple power modes, optional quick shifter, wheelie control, ABS. All these are cornering and lean sensitive, and you've also got this unique slide control that I'll come on to very shortly. Now here in Valencia we've had a real mixed condition, which at first I was a little bit annoyed about, but we got to ride the bike in standard form, which is the standard bike with the Rosso 4 courser tyres. It was a little bit damp, a little bit sketchy. So you put it in the wet mode, you pull down the power, you turn up the traction, you turn up the corner in ABS, and you ride around in what was relative safety. And riding at those slow speeds, the first thing that comes immediately apparent is the fueling from the bottom. Now, a lot of big singles have quite a snatchy throttle from the bottom, and I'm talking about from 0% throttle to about 20% throttle, and this is really nice, especially in the wet mode when it was wet this morning. And then as it's dried out, we've moved on to the RVE with its slick tyres, which are not standard. They're obviously just for the track test, and we try the different modes. And I thought the throttle would be a lot sharper, but it's actually not. The throttle delivery is really, really impressive. Also, is the over rev. Incredible over rev, which is again not what you expect from a single. When you really start to ride the bike fast, it almost feels like a small capacity parallel twin, because it's not got that whack off the bottom and it's not got that whack in the mid-range, and it's really rideable and really, really usable, and you can use all those revs between the corners. The optional quick shifter works really well, as you'd expect. Back in the pits, we trimmed the rider aids, played with the traction, turned off the anti-wheelie. If you go for the optional package with a full race exhaust, there's an optional wheelie control which actually holds the wheelie higher than you'd expect. So you can just hold the gas fully open and it'll hold the wheelie at different angles. But what's unique for this bike is the kind of slide control as you come into the corners, which is just remarkable. So there's 4 settings. In 4 and 3, it's kind of limited. It'll allow you to slide a little, but in 2, you can just jump on the back brake as hard as you want, allow the rear to slide, and then the bike knows how much you're sliding, it knows the wheel speed, and it just controls the slide for you. Now, normally when you back in a bike, you have to come down the gears, you have to balance the back brake with the clutch, and it's kind of like doing a hill start and holding the back brake at the same time, because you want the back wheel to keep turning. If it locks, it'll come out too fast, so you want the wheel to turn, and this does it automatically, so you can let go of the clutch, jump on the back brake, slide it in, and impress all your friends. The downside for me, the only negativity is the span on the brake lever is a bit too big, because I've got hands the size of a 6-year-old, and it is expensive. There's no denying that it is expensive. So the only real downside, which is we're kind of coming accustomed to with Ducati, is that it's just under 11,000 for the base and just under 12,000 for the RVE. Once you put the race pipe on, the race air filter that this has got, the quick shifter, the extra modes, we're starting to creep up to £14,000–15,000 for a supermoto. When you compare it to the competition, that if I remember rightly are like 9.5, 9.7, then it's quite a step up. But the difference between this and the competition from KTM, Gas and Husqvarna, which is essentially the same thing, is the multiple rider aids, the way more informative dash, the level of finish. It's very, very different. In terms of handling, it's very different also, I feel, because I rode the Gas a lot last year. It was my long-term test bike. The Gas has got the fuel at the back. It feels more weighty on the rear. It's got more mid-range. That's on paper. It's got more drive, more torque. It's a bit more wheelie prone, where this has a little bit more weight over the front. It's more front end biased. It's a little bit wider. But it feels, when you're going really fast, well, not really fast, but when you're going reasonably quick on track, it feels more like a street bike than a supermoto. So I ride it with my knee out, feet on the pegs, knee down, and you can feel the front. It feels more like a street bike. It doesn't feel like a long traveled supermoto. The travel is the same between this and the Gas and the KTM and the Husqvarna, but it feels like this has got shorter travel, like shorter forks, like it wants to turn a little bit easier, and you feel more in contact with the front because of that contact patch. But it'll be interesting when we get a group test together, and also we need to ride it on the road. What will it be like on the road when you're missing a little bit of torque compared to the competition, or will it be more enjoyable because you've got that over rev? But yeah, hugely interesting bike. Really interesting that Ducati have come into this supermoto category, and they've not been in this category for quite some time with a single-cylinder engine. It's the first single-cylinder engine production bike they've done. Yes, they did one years ago as a race bike, but this is the first mass production one done. And considering it's their first single-cylinder supermoto, they pretty much ticked every box. The only problem is you have to dig deep and spend some money.